Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the government is prepared to give up hosting next year's climate conference. Australia's bid hasn't officially been withdrawn yet, but if Turkey is preferred by delegates, then Australia wouldn't challenge that. Joining us live is the Nationals leader, David Littleproud. David, you'd be devastated by that, wouldn't you?
This is where the Prime Minister's been shamed into giving up after the realisation that this is going to cost Australian taxpayers $2 billion to have a 2-week conference. This was nothing more than a glorified attempt to have some sort of stage created for Anthony Albanese to walk onto the world stage and be able to gratuitously say how good he is, all at the taxpayers' expense. Don't take away the politics of this. Anthony Albanese is backtracking from this as quick as he can because he knows there's a cost of living crisis that he's out of touch with. He and Chris Bowen have created with the energy grid that they've created. We're meant to get a $275 reduction this year from our 2022 prices. In fact, they've gone up by $800. And then to go and spend and blow $2 billion on a climate conference for 2 weeks, that was just pure insanity.
Well, he wants, if Turkey gets it and we miss out, he wants a leaders meeting. This is a backup plan, a leaders meeting in the Pacific to support climate financing. Do you think that's something that you could get behind?
No, just give it up. I mean, there are Australians tonight that cannot afford to put dinner on the table. And when you've got a cost of living crisis, you've got businesses and industry shutting down, you've got BlueScope telling us that they're about to lose jobs, you've got Tomago, you've got Mount Isa, you've got Port Pirie, Whyalla. I think it's about time the Prime Minister forgot about strutting around on the world stage and started thinking about Australians. And it shouldn't be at Australians' expense. There are domestic problems, and his ideology of this $9 trillion net zero plan is putting Australian jobs at risk, households at risk, and Medicare and the NDIS at risk. He's got to get back to domestic issues.
Let's turn your attention to the New South Wales Nationals, David. You got yourself a new leader in Gurmesh Singh. Your thoughts on his promotion?
Yeah, look, it's sad that Dougal Saunders has had to relinquish the leadership. He obviously has family issues that he wants to focus on, and all courage to him. It takes a lot of courage to give up leadership. It's hard to get, but to put your family first shows the strength of character of Dougal Saunders. But I'm pretty excited about Gurmesh Singh. He's the quintessential Australian story of an immigrant whose grandfather came here, had the courage to come to Australia, that worked bloody hard and created a farm, a berry and macadamia farm up at Coffs Harbour. He's given back to his community. I mean, this is what it is to be Australian. The modern day Australian story is reflected in Gurmesh Singh, and he has the values and principles to lead the New South Wales Nats and to take that baton up after Dougal. And I'm glad to call him a mate, and I'm hopefully going to catch up with him in the next 24, 48 hours in person. But I've known Gurmesh for a long time, and he's a great bloke.
Well, let's turn our attention now to the federal Libs. There's still consternation over net zero, David. Some moderates still not on board. Are you worried about how you're going to sell this policy as a coalition if some members just don't believe it?
No, the joint party room made a decision. There is a cheaper, better, fairer way than Labor's $9 trillion net zero plan that's going to put Medicare and NDIS at risk. We're not walking away from reducing emissions, but we're not going to streak ahead like the Labor Party is. We're 1.1% of global emissions. Why wouldn't we peg ourselves to make sure we stay in tune with that? The OECD is only going to reduce emissions by 1.7% between now and 2035. Labor wants to reduce us by 4.8% every year. That comes at a cost. That's what Australians are feeling every quarter in their energy bills. That's what Australians are feeling who can't put dinner on the table tonight. That's what the people at Tomago are feeling or at BlueScope. So what we're saying is there's a cheaper, better, fairer way to look at our energy grid in a technology agnostic way. And Anthony Albanese could pull levers today with the Australian Energy Market Operator to take away their mandate of having to source energy predicated on 35 targets, rather than sourcing the cheapest energy available to Australians and extending the capacity investment scheme to all technologies. That would put downward pressure today. If he had courage, he'd do it.
Okay, just back on the Libs though. I mean, how realistic do you think this reported fear is? It's mostly in New South Wales at this stage, that the moderates could split from the Liberal Party over this. I mean, do you think the centre-right is under threat?
Oh, look, I'm not privy to the inner workings of the Liberal Party, never have and never will be. But what has served centre-right politics best for the last 100 years is a strong coalition that has a cogent, common-sense policy, and on something as contentious as this. This isn't about a debate about science. The science is something that will continue to be looked at, but the reality is we're accepting the science as it is at the moment, and this is about economics. So I don't see what the moderates are concerned about. The reality is we're still committing to reducing emissions. We're still working through living up to our international commitments, but we're not sending the country broke in doing it. Sometimes you've got to have the courage of your conviction and say to the Australian people that there's a cheaper, better, fairer way than Labor's $9 trillion net zero plan. That's the opportunity they have in front of them.
We're out of time, but good to see you as always, David. Thank you.